Hi. Wow, this is adorable. I love this. Thank you guys for coming out on Sunday, the last day of the fest. Apparently it closed yesterday, but we're not fucking leaving. We're not going home. Listen, PodCo and all of its amazing hosts who flew down here to show their support for this company and my husband and myself, we are so grateful for all of them to come here to Austin, where a lot of them have not even ever been. We've been here 2.5 years. We've lived here, and we are ride or die Austin people. And by the way, before anyone wants to come for us for moving from California, we were baptized by the snowpocalypse. We are survivors of that. So yeah, I don't want to hear that. We are so happy to have our like LA family here in Austin so that they don't move here, but they can visit anytime that they want to. Thank you guys for coming. Again, I know there's been so much content being thrown your way, as there is every day and every moment and every tablet and phone that you have. PodCo is obviously a really, it's a wonderful community that's growing. And I think you being here and informing yourselves on what we're meant to do is just, you're getting in on the ground floor. And we're not stopping. We're going to keep giving you what you want, iconic conversations with people you absolutely love. And we're going to go ahead and start our first panel that I will be moderating with the most amazing hosts from Wizards of Waverly Pod. We got some Wizards fans out there. Okay. So please welcome to the stage David DeLuise and Jennifer Stone. Thank you. Thank you. I love you. Hey guys, I'm so happy to have you here. What's going on?
I feel this couch is beautiful, but I feel this tufted barrier, and I don't like it.
It needs some pillows.
Well, just between you and me, this tufted barrier.
Do you want me to get closer to you? Like, I'll do a Drew Barrymore.
I want you to sit in my lap. I want you to sit in my lap.
Can you tell me about your life?
I just want to spoon the whole interview.
Just please, how was Wizards? Are you still friends with Selena Gomez?
Oh, wow.
I never get that question.
We're not going to ask it, so let's not. Okay, guys, when we open it up to questions in a little bit. So I'm so happy to have you guys here in Austin. What do you think of Austin?
It's hot. I mean, I was schwitzing as soon as I got off the plane.
You spitz everywhere.
I do. I'm
you
a
can
sweater.
stay so young.
But I love it. I mean, so far I've only gone to your house and right here, but I love it so far.
And you know me, I'm a Texas girl, so Austin to me is like the perfect, yeehaw, baby. It's like the perfect mixture.
Horns, hook 'em? If you say that, they'll get excited.
I'm not a sports person.
Okay.
So sure.
Sure, hook 'em horns.
Sure,
hook 'em
why not?
horns.
I don't think I can say that because both my parents met at Baylor.
Okay.
So sorry.
Baylor's cool. It's in Waco.
But the Cowboys, America's
It's in Waco.
team.
It has a great campus.
Sports balls,
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's not stop talking about it.
Okay, got it. So that's how you feel about Austin. Obviously, it's very limited because you flew in and you came straight to my house for the party.
But I was here one other time, and there's like an 8th Street, 9th Street, where people walk around
6th Street.
and drink. 6th Street.
It's a number.
Sorry, I got the wrong
it's
number.
a number right
There's
around
like a
that.
12th Street and a 45th.
Well, there's a street where people all walk
Yes.
around. When I was
There's
here
many
last
streets.
time, I was working, but talking to everybody's so nice. Everybody comes out, and says hello and welcomes you.
I
which is
wonder.
nice.
I wonder why that is. Truly, though, I think it's like. It's a magical place, Austin. We all kind of know that. And what I like about even people who are coming here from other states, it's like we are getting the good people. Like there's an energy here that, yes, we're gentrifying at an alarming rate and rents are skyrocketing and people are being pushed out to San Antonio and other places. And that is happening. But on the other end of that, we're getting a lot of really great energy is gravitating to here. And I think that I can speak for that in that the people that are staying here are generally pretty good.
Are you guys mostly from here, or did you come here from other
Are you guys
places?
from here from Austin or Texas?
Okay.
Hey, Nola. I love Nola.
Well, let's get into your podcast, please, because this is
Let's
not
talk about
podcast.
Wizards of Waverly
We're just going to talk
Pod.
about Austin the whole time.
I know. I could. I really could. That's the funny
I
thing.
could as well.
Yeah, I'm a little woo-woo on it. So how do you guys feel about the podcast? Like, let's talk about how we all kind of decided to do it and how it came about.
Well, I did an episode of your Christy's Throwback Kitchen right before the pandemic hit, like literally like a minute before it started. And then I rushed back home.
Well, and I texted you and I was like, remember?
Yes, I do. I do. Christy,
we could talk about it.
Yeah. So Christy did this. I mean, she's got like 2 young girls who are the cutest. And I was a brand new nurse in ER during the pandemic. And she was like, so how do
optimal time to become a brand new nurse?
I mean, my timing's impeccable for my whole life. But yeah, so she was texting me. She's like, so what do I do? I'm like, I don't know either. We're all trying to figure it out. Like, I'm doing my best. I don't know.
Like, I just sneezed. Yeah. I have COVID. Yeah. Like a million question marks.
Yeah, she was texting me like every symptom, somebody just hiccuped. Is that a thing? Is that a sign of COVID? And I'm like, no, you're good, I think.
I have IBS. Is that COVID?
Yeah, I farted a little. And like, it's like, we can't talk about poop this early. It's because Devin's in the front row.
Yes.
No.
Nick's in the house. We can have
Devin,
the jokes.
I was like, you always bring like the butt stuff and poop out of me every time. You see the evil laugh? You see the evil laugh?
That's what happens when Disney and big kids get together all grown up. We start talking about body parts.
Let's rein the Ritalin back in. But so basically, I met you guys through that, and I fell in love with you and Brendan. And then Brendan called me, and a little bit later, and was like, "Hey," and I did an episode of Vulnerable.
Oh yes.
And then he called me. He's like, "Do you want to do a rewatch podcast?" And I was like, "I'd love to, but not by myself. That's too much." Me. Mm-hmm. So who's somebody that I love spending time with? And then this lovely man came to my mind.
Yeah.
Because he warms
Papa
my
Russo.
heart. So
Jen called me, and then we started doing the podcast.
like
It's
that,
just
like
so
5 minutes
simple.
later.
Yeah.
That's the short answer. You're supposed to like elaborate.
I talked about butts and stuff.
I don't know. I don't. The starting of doing the podcast, you just said, but the fact that we get to rewatch the show and that everybody gets to rewatch it on Disney Plus is amazing. And the fact that you still want to watch it and then listen to us talk about it.
Did you have any
It's amazing.
hesitation when I called you? Or was it just like a hell yes?
No, I had a little gas, but other than that,
That's a sign of COVID, you know.
It is.
No.
Pink eye is too,
Yes, I
apparently,
had a
right?
slight-
That's only if you fart in your face.
But I had a slight hesitation because everybody goes, "I'm doing a podcast." You know what I mean? Everybody and their cousin is doing a podcast.
Do you have friends who are doing podcasts?
Well,
his cousins.
No. I'm serious though, because he's actually from a generation of Hollywood that they are doing podcasts. You know, like there's a lot of comedians out there that are doing wonderful things, and you're hilarious.
Thank you. I didn't know if how it was going to go. You know, I'll tell you this: when we walked on, because you can watch it as well. But when we walked onto like the set where we're recording, you guys made it very nice.
I was really impressed.
I felt very professional, and then I got nervous. I said I should have done my hair better.
David, so I'm sorry, I'm gonna tell this
Go
story.
ahead,
I
Jen.
know I've told this story before, but it's so funny because David and I, we did like the first few episodes, and then the first one aired, and he's like, I didn't think anybody was gonna watch this. He's like, did I say anything bad? And I was like, no. I was like, you're
My
fine.
thought process in the beginning was, I don't give a shit. I'm just going to talk to Jen.
What's your thought process now?
Well, but you know what I'm saying? That I wasn't thinking about other people listening to what we were saying. I was just talking to her, which I think is why we, maybe why you guys enjoy it so much. She's like, I told you enjoy it. Did you see how I did that?
Yes.
But
Like, we actually hate
we're
it.
just hanging out, and you get to hang out with us, which is what's so fun, you know. So I wasn't thinking so much. I'm still not thinking about what I'm saying that much. But it's interesting because when you have a conversation, it's a private conversation between the two of you. But if we listen to it and then critique it, it's a little weird, you know. So I'm going to stop talking.
I liked it. No, but you're the most likable person in the world. You could read the alphabet book, the phone book that doesn't exist. You could read my contact list, and I would be in love with you.
Thank you.
I mean, who doesn't have a fond memory of him? That's why I think it is really great to see you guys connect with each other. So, like, what has been some of the most rewarding parts of getting to sit down and talk and chat and connect?
Well, getting to know Jen even more and more in depth, which is really nice. And then also we have the guests come and asking them questions like, what was the audition like? What was this like? Or asking questions that you don't typically ask other actors that you're working with, that finding that kind of information out is good. And asking the questions, it hasn't aired yet, but we did an episode with two of our writers, Perry and Gigi, and I was like, what did you guys talk about in the room? Like, what was happening? What was their perspective? Because it's very different from the actor aspect. Or did you know I directed a few episodes, Jen? See, we have a bit already.
So we're talking about doing a drinking episode.
Yeah.
And
Oh my God,
he has
I
to
would
take a
love
shot
that.
every time he says he directed an episode, every time he mentions something on his IMDb, or if he drops a name, because I love you, but you do those three all
do.
the time. He's
Wait,
gonna be
how many
smashed
episodes
by the
did you direct though?
7. I did 7, which
That's
was
a
really
lot.
fun.
Yeah.
And it was one of the reasons why I really wanted to do the show, is because I wanted to go into that, I'm not going to be this young forever.
Well, you keep
so-
cannonballing in my
Baby.
pool at 2 a.m. I think we're
But
gonna.
I enjoyed that.
stay
I think
young.
Everybody should do somebody else's job at least once. You get a totally different perspective on what's going on, which was
especially,
really nice.
I feel like especially in the entertainment industry, because it's such a collaborative effort. You know what I mean? Like, you can't take one cog out of that wheel and have it still work as effectively as it does when it's successful, right? So I love when I see people, like, I've been thankful to write, produce, and whenever you can go into those different parts, hell, even just talking to like the DP, the camera guy, like props,
It
costumes,
helps
any
you
of that.
do
It's
your
fascinating.
job that much. It helps you do what you are doing, because then you're involving everybody.
Yeah.
Which
What
is
has
good.
been your favorite memory to reconnect on? Like, I think there was a really interesting episode where the creator came on and was talking about one of your characters that never came out publicly, right? But that she and Alex, Selena's character, may have, on an alternate ending, might have ended up, I don't know. This is all very theoretical.
I wasn't 100% at the time going, this character Stevie there might be a little bit of a flirting thing. I was not 100% that was going on, but then when Peter Marietta, the writer, producer, said that, I was like, oh yeah, that was
What
there.
did he say, just so we can illuminate
Well,
that?
he was saying that because he was a showrunner of our show for the first 3 seasons, and then there was a whole thing where Disney fired him because basically he fought a lot of our battles to keep like creative control and to make it the show that it was. So we've talked about how like the 4th season feels a bit disconnected from the first 3 because he wasn't there to fight our battles, our creative battles anymore. But one of the things he wanted to do, which if it was a different time, is to explore having a character be bi and have that period of your life where you explore, different parts of your sexuality. So rather than just having someone being like, okay, I know I'm straight, I know I'm this, very linear, which I feel like especially now it's a lot more accepting, which back in the mid-2000s it wasn't, of being a bit more fluid with your sexuality, who you're attracted to, and loving people for people, not for a specific gender. And I think that's what he
didn't
wanted to
happen
explore.
on Disney. It just didn't happen. So it was good that he was kind of scratching the surface of that back then.
It's like a scratch and sniff. I liked it.
When you talk about creative battles that he was fighting for you guys, not that this is off topic for the podcast, but like in general though, like what do you think those creative battles looked like in order to keep the quality of the show?
I think
intact?
they wanted it to be really silly. It was silly, but he wanted it to be a controlled thing. There was a thing where there's an episode, Chocolate Fountain, where Selena's eating all this chocolate and swimming in the chocolate, and that's very Disney. And they wanted...
I love a food fight.
Yes. And they wanted her to drive into a different episode, into a huge pie, and have it cover them. So, like, Peter was like, I don't want to cover them in pie. And we did the chocolate. So we had them in a car run into a big pie thing. So that was like a compromise kind of
I think
situation.
also too, because what Peter and all of us really loved about the show and think what made it special is it was all these really quirky, strange kind of pairing of people in this family, and then the addendum of Harper. But like them coming together and the intimacy of just them living their day-to-day lives. Disney, can I get a Disney, please?
Disney.
No, but Disney likes to make things really over the top, and you lose some of that intimacy of just being.
It's safe
It's
because
safe.
they know the
It's
kids are watching.
It's safe, and so they love the big competition. They love the big food fight. They love the big romantic arc, which is fine. But sometimes with those big storylines like that, like the Wizards, like towards the 4th season, it was everybody versus everybody, and it was like. Sometimes when you do that, you lose the intimacy of just human relationships and just.
So what you're saying is that you jumped shark.
In the 4th season, yeah. And it happened.
Do you all know what that means to jump shark?
There's a show. Does anybody know that? No. Oh, you know.
Okay.
Happy
so
days.
This is a
Yeah,
great
so for
industry
people-
term for all you guys that don't know it. We're going to teach it to you here at the ATX TV Festival.
On Happy Days, they had run out of everything to do, so they had the Fonzie water skiing and jumped a shark. So there's the phrase, like when you run out of everything, you jump the shark.
Our whole 4th season, we were jumping over all the sharks.
Okay, cool. So then you guys have reconnected and you feel like you've been able to hash stuff out. Do you have some other guests that you are really trying to pine to have them come on? I mean, are there celebrity guests that you guys can tease? that are
David
coming
Henry,
on?
who played my son.
You know, he's a busy guy.
We're trying to get him on the show.
He's dad.
fucking busy. What's that about?
He's a busy guy. He's a dad.
We're trying to get
That's good
Octavia Spencer, who was in the 1st season.
Oh,
we're trying to
yes.
get all the guests that were in the 1st season to be on the show.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, why not? I mean, the fans you guys love the show, right? And I'm very excited to maybe take some questions and move things along. So I really want you guys to engage with us. Not only are you helping us, but we're here to authentically answer your questions. So don't feel shy. I know some people are like, oh my God, I grew up with them, but we're ready to talk. We have the tea. Please raise your hands. Oh my God, what if no one raises their hands?
There we go,
raise
right
your
there.
hands.
Hi.
Hi.
What's your name? Relina. Nice to meet you.
Gorgeous.
Jen Stone doing everything.
Yes.
love that.
Well, that's actually what my question
I like
is
to
about.
multitask.
Oh my God, there's another microphone. It just came out of
beautiful. Okay.
nowhere.
Okay, so obviously, I don't know if you can hear me. I'm a really big fan. And I want to say thank you for your TV studio and everything you do. And I had a question for you, Jennifer. It's as a nurse and having been a child star and a child icon, in my opinion, how does that affect your daily life and you pursuing, doing this rewatch podcast and bringing back to light, that you were in this TV show and then, talking about it and kind of being as important as you are, and in the Hollywood term and in the daily life, being an essential worker, how does that affect you?
That's such a sweet question.
Do you want to come up here? Because that was amazing.
That was a very sweet question. There was layers
was good.
involved. Lord. It's a. If you had told me when I was doing the show that I would be where I am now, I would have thought you were on crack. I would have never believed you. But I'm so grateful for it because I love acting so much, and I look at that as something that I do for myself. And nursing kind of came out of being a patient first, and then also just for a love of health sciences and wanting to do something for other. Because for so much of my life, I had focused everything on acting, which was for me. And so to be able to step outside myself and do something for other people, I'm so grateful to have that balance. Because I think in life, we're always trying to find balance in all things, right? It's this constant seesaw and trying to find that. And so to be able to revisit a special time in my life and get to be creative and a whole different facet that I would have never anticipated with the podcast, and then go and be able to put myself aside and help someone else is just such a gift. And some days are really hard. Devin and I have known each other for 10 years, and he's heard some horror stories from the ER many times, but it's about, one of the ER docs told me, he's like, if you can help one person a day, it's been a successful shift. And the biggest thing, the overlap I never anticipated, was I spent my entire life from 6 as an actor working on my empathy muscle, and it's come in such handy as a nurse. And it's been so beautiful to be able to have those coexist. I don't know if that answers your questions because it was so layered, but I just don't want to ramble.
That was a beautiful answer.
Thank you.
It really was. That was a beautiful answer. And it made me think of something about nostalgia and how we're revisiting things from different perspectives now that we're older and wiser, and just, you've seen everybody grow up and move in different directions. And so can you speak to why nostalgia is working?
I think it's a safe space. And I think we're in this, not to be a Debbie Downer, because I'm really good at that. But I think we're in this, there's been some articles recently where they talk about this epidemic of loneliness. And I think nostalgia and I think podcasts are a very easy way to feel like you're with a safe space, a warm space quickly. It's like easy access to what feels like a friendly group, what feels like a friendly conversation.
It feels like a community.
It feels like a community, and it feels familiar, and it feels like in an uncertain time, everything post-2020, going back to a time that felt certain and safe, I think is huge. And I think that's why nostalgia is so big right now.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are, you correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of people are watching the show over and over again because it makes them feel good. It reminds them of their childhood. It's like their comfort show. My comfort show is Beverly Hills Housewives, but don't tell anybody. Okay? Yeah.
Who's your housewife?
Who's my favorite? Well, I mean, I love them all. Lisa Rinna is a big fan of hers.
God,
I think
love
Kyle is very, she's held steadfast. It's very hard to pick out a Kyle problem, But I mean, I could go for days on that.
This is amazing.
But back to the podcast.
You guys need to have Andy Cohen on your podcast.
Yeah. Oh God, I would.
Wouldn't
love
that be awesome?
That would
we'll
be.
take.
That
we'll,
would
na-
be.
we'll note that down.
But it's also interesting. I don't know if this happens for you guys, but when I rewatch the show, I'm seeing stuff that I don't remember, and it's me even, and so I'm watching it objectively, which is very nice. So it's nice. I mean, we did a good job, so I'm having fun watching it.
It's a good show. It's a good show. It's a good show. It absolutely is. Okay, come on. Let's get some next questions. Let's get those hands,
There's
guys.
a hand. I think there's a microphone right there.
Beautiful. Okay.
Oh,
Don't take that
okay.
microphone
There's
home.
microphones on either side. Is that on?
Remote question.
I texted
there we
my
go.
daughters who are both obsessed with you. One of them's also a fellow ginger.
Hey, we had
and
no
they
soul,
wanted
but
to
we're a lot of
know
fun.
what were some of your favorite outfits that you wore on the show?
So this answer changes all the time. So I have a fondness now, I didn't then, for all of the food clothing because they're not very practical. I spent half of all of the time being like, a fruit roll up fell off, or like being in the middle of a scene and just being like, that fell off, or I smell like a dead carcass because I'm wearing beef jerky. So yeah, a lot of the like food. Now looking back, I have a lot of nostalgia for. I know I've talked about with you the beef jerky jacket.
It smelled bad.
It smelled.
I was sitting
smelled
next
like
to her.
roadkill. I smelled like roadkill, and poor Jake and David had to be stuck in a
Ferris wheel,
like a
kind of
Ferris
thing.
wheel cart, and you had your broken shoulder at the time, so he's like this, and I smell like a carcass, and we're all like squeezed in together. So it's stuff like it's the costumes that go with a story and like the experience of shooting it, which the food ones always did because they were so hard to keep together.
My favorite was the ducky outfit and the pens. The pen outfit.
I have both.
Did you hear that?
I have both. Yeah, one of the costume designers let me steal them before they went into the vault.
I stole all my clothes. They said you can't have your clothes. Disney was not going to let us. Disney. They wouldn't let us. So, but our friend Shannon, who was on the episode last week, said just take all this. So I took as many Jerry Russo outfits
As our
I could.
showrunner taught me, it's always better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Yes, and I stole some other things, which I should have stolen more.
Don't steal.
The menu and like a napkin dispenser and
Well, he knows like all the things.
yeah.
Yeah.
You have a question over there.
I do have a question. So in thinking about nostalgia and how it's been really comforting to go back to TV, I think as someone who wants to eventually write television, sometimes that creates like a point where people are looking for stuff that's familiar. So I'm wondering, what do you hope that your shows kind of let people see for TV in the future? Like, how do you hope they change what TV comes next?
Oh my God, that's a great question.
I want it to be good.
Great question.
I want TV to be good. You know, if you're talking about a dramatic show, I just finished watching Succession, which was riveting television. I mean, that is something I'd like to be a part of. Although learning the lines now is really hard. To remember all the lines is tricky for me. But comedy, like a sitcom kind of thing,
Yeah.
it has to be, like we were talking about, it has to be based in reality, you have to like the characters first. And I think a lot of the characters nowadays, obviously Succession is different. You didn't scream again.
Succession's hilarious. I don't know what you're
But we
talking
have to care about the characters, and I think some people forget that. Like, well, be crazy, kooky, it'll be fun. But you have to. We had a dysfunctional family that loved each other. So the base, if the base isn't there, and then Peter Marietta, who's the head of our show, said something to me when I was writing, and he said, if you can describe your characters in like one run-on long sentence, you're good. And the character that I was writing, he was a fun guy who had a huge heart to his detriment. So he would always go out of his way to do something nice, and then it would go wrong. So if you know your characters really well, then they can kind of write themselves, is my
When I
thought.
think of like with talking about like writing with nostalgia in mind, but still moving forward, it's a question of having that nostalgia grow with the audience. And I think that's what's really cool, like with our podcast and with all of these rewatch podcasts, is having the audience grow with you. And I think where nostalgia shows or reboots or things like that fail is where they try to just recreate that moment in time. That's when it doesn't work. When I think of the really successful ones that we see, and I'm sure like this as a writer and moving forward, and hope to write things that maintain that specialness, that have the nostalgia in the first place, but also grow with the audience that loved it to begin with.
Excellent. Thank you.
Great question.
Great answers. Great answers.
We have another question over here.
So a lot of rewatch podcasts usually go by episode. How did you guys go about your format? Because going by episode, there's obviously eventually an ending point. Was that something you kept in mind, or just was it like organic conversation?
I think in the beginning when we were talking with Brendan, who is the head of PodCo. Did you guys know PodCo?
PodCo.
PodCo. I was told to say PodCo 8 times. Hold on. And PodCo. No. But he said I wanted
We
to
get
be
zapped
fun.
if we don't say
and
it.
it is the Wizards Pod, but it's also Jen and I talking about our experience and about the business and interviewing, friends from the show and also people who worked on the show. The idea was, yes, we have 106 episodes and 2 movies to talk about, but it's also us talking about our experience. And some people like our tangents and they're enjoying it, and some people say, shut the fuck up and talk about the show, So
Okay, but when you go on about Nicolas Cage for 20 minutes, sometimes I'm like, shut
wait
the
a
fuck
minute.
up.
Nicolas Cage is amazing, Jen.
No, I didn't mean to unleash it. Put it back.
We also decided we wanted to give like a diversification to the structure of these rewatch podcasts so that it wasn't just talking about these episodes for episodes. I mean, there's a lot of people doing rewatch. We want our shows to feel more like community than we do want it to feel like the same thing every
And I
week.
felt like too, we wanted to elevate it, because at the same time too, like you can go rewatch the show and get the same bit of nostalgia if we just talk about it ad nauseum. But we wanted to elevate it in a sense of like, what can we bring that you can't get from just watching the show?
And engagement too. You guys do a fair amount of engagement
We
with people.
engage. I'm married, but we engage.
He's engaged to all his fans. All right, let's move on. Thank you so much. I think we have room, maybe like 1 or 2 more questions. So
part of the nostalgia for me was that I was raising my daughter, who's now about to be 18. We watched this show together when she was younger, and we really enjoyed it. And so I told her I was here. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Harper from Waverly Place. And she said, I told her that you were a nurse now, and she wanted to know if anyone ever recognizes you in that role and if it gets in the way of your job.
It happens all the time. I've been told I have a weird voice, and so that gives me away. So during the pandemic, I'd be in like full PPE, like trash bag, mask, like all that stuff, and people would still go, Harper? And I'm like, how? I'm completely covered from head to toe. Ow.
But it doesn't get in your way of doing your job.
No. I mean, I've had a couple people be like, do you want to film a TikTok? And I'm like, I'm at work. Like, there's like the HIPAA laws. We can't do that. And then they're like, well, some people have egos. And I'm like, what? But I've had some interesting scenarios where, like, I was telling Christy, I've had people that come in on some substances and they're like tripping pretty hard. And then they'll be like, aren't you the girl from the thing? And I'm like, no, that's not. So I pick my moments. Sometimes it's a really nice gift to be able to take someone's bad day and make it a little better with like a little bit of nostalgia. And then sometimes I just kind of like to screw with people when they come in on mushrooms.
What's your daughter's name?
Chelsea.
Hi, Chelsea.
Hi, Chelsea.
Do everything your mom tells you.
Aw. Literally, guys, he's staying at my house today. and my children are coming home, and I'm so excited that they're going to have their Uncle D in the house. They're going to put makeup on you. They're going to put nail polish on you. They are so lucky.
He's a grown dad, so he's an expert. You're the best.
I'm so excited for him right now, and I'm going to Janet Jackson. Sorry, Mama's going out. All right. Well, what else? Do we have some more questions?
Yes.
All right. Great. And then Ned's, you're on deck. So just let you know, we're gonna keep the party going. You just flipped off our entire live feed. I want to let you know. Okay. Behave yourself. We're sassy. We're grown up, guys. We're grown up.
Hi, my name's Cammie. First of all, it's nice to meet all of you.
Oh, it's nice to meet you.
What would you say is like the biggest takeaway or lesson you've learned from being on these shows at such a young age, and then also
at such an old age? The fuck?
Oh shoot, man!
I was gonna say just in general.
Bye.
But
Thank you so much. It's okay.
He was like 34 when we did the show.
feel
Just
bad.
very young. Very young.
Were you done with your question? Sorry.
I mean, I was gonna say just in general too, but
He also doesn't he look the same? I mean, he looks the same.
Absolutely,
I honestly think so.
Thank you. I knew at the time, because I was a little older, that we were very lucky, and it was a special thing that we all got along, except for one person. I'm not going to say who it was. But we had such a great experience, and we were lucky to have each other, and I knew that then. And did you know that at 14?
That it was special?
Yeah, I mean,
did.
doing a TV show is fun, but
I did. I
later shows,
Did you
later jobs.
Did you also know about the people that came before you? I'm actually really quite curious. I've never asked you this question, but like being someone who might have seen Disney Channel people come before you, did you in sort of like know that there were pioneers like before you, and you were kind of like, there's a legacy that I must like. I am now. This is my time. Yeah.
I have something to confess.
Yes.
I used to turn down the volume on Disney Channel and make fun of it.
I'm sorry. That just made me so sad.
I watched your
Not of your show. Never
Not
of
on
your
my
show.
shows?
Of course not. Of course
Okay.
not.
I watched your show with my kids.
Yeah.
Really?
I loved it.
Which
I was
one?
like, this is one of the reasons why I did want to do it. Because it
Because of
was
Christy?
well,
You're so full
also,
of
but
shit.
also, correct me if I'm wrong, but the mother on your show directed some episodes.
Donna
right?
Pascal.
Yeah,
Donna P.
Yeah, so I was like, from that, I was
No
like, this is
way.
funny, this is creative, and maybe I can jump into doing the other thing. I don't want to say directing because she's gonna make fun of me.
It's out of love. You know, I'd give shit
I know,
only to
I
the
know.
people I love the most.
But kudos to your show. It was very groundbreaking.
Talking about like just telling like human stories, I felt like that generation of Disney. I feel like this is like SNL, where you're always like the one you grew up with is the one you're most nostalgic for.
Yeah.
Because I remember like your show, a lot of the like the music videos where you would all sing the Disney songs. I'm like, they were so talented then before auto-tune and all that bullshit. But no, and like I felt like they told a lot more human stories rather than like the fantastical, like she's a pop star, she's a wizard, she's
Yeah.
this, not dogging on that. It was just different.
Yeah, no, Disney became
More
like
grounded.
Well, I remember later going in and trying to, just like kiss some serious butt over in the executives. What is it, 34 or 38 in the Disney building?
21st floor.
That's where was Gary and all of them? It was 21st.
Did you see that PTSD? It was like 21st floor.
At the Green Building. Oh God, 30 Alameda.
I drive by it every time I go to work.
Yeah, I
and I'm
flip it
just
off
like,
sometimes when I'm angry. I don't know why.
So wait, you
Sometimes
mean
it feels-
after the show you went and talked to them?
So no, they're actually really sweet, and there's executives come and go there, but there's some that stay there and they really care and they try their best to like, pick up the phone, and then I went in. I was actually looking to direct at one point, and I went in there and they said, look, our mandate is changing. This was right when Descendants was about to hit, and they said we're getting told to pitch what the toy is going to look like.
we had that on Wizards. We had some where they were like, well, we're gonna have the I can't remember if it was Kmart or not, but they were like, we're gonna put Selena in all these outfits because we're gonna sell them. So they were doing that then too.
Yeah.
I did realize in the first season that our show was really ultimately a commercial for the merchandise, because Hannah Montana made $300 million. And this was a while ago, off their merchandise, which was amazing. I mean, our show wasn't just a commercial for the stuff.
But you
we
were
were
saying
selling-
about creative control.
I'm so sorry.
But also,
I
but it's
said-
wonderful. It's a really wonderful question to unpack because then you're talking about this creative control thing that you guys were trying to uphold, and you were really kind of coming up against a climate that was going against, you know what I'm saying? You're like, wait, but we want to be grounded, but they're fantastical. I mean, do you know how hard that is as an actor? And then
They had a book. Disney had a book this thick with what you can do, what you shouldn't do, what they want to see, what they don't want to see.
like standards and practices, or
Yeah,
no?
Well, both. I
Okay.
think it was more Disney was doing their research as to how do we make this, because Disney, I didn't know this, but they really, if they made a show, it was just going to go. Other networks would make like 8 shows and pick 1 or 2. But Disney was just like, this is the show that's happening.
See,
you know?
I
didn't
knew
know
this.
that.
You didn't know this. He was like, I thought like we did a pilot and then maybe it gets picked. I was like, no, you're in it for like 4 years.
But I passed on the pilot because I didn't know that there was a guarantee. And then when they came back to me, there was a guarantee thing, and that was important.
That's the nice thing about Disney.
I learned that.
When you said yes.
Did you learn anything that as a 14-year-old? I'm going back to her question.
No, I learned a lot. I mean, I learned that's such a huge question. Like, obviously, I learned so much. But the biggest thing that I learned is, in hindsight, looking back, is to just, God, I really bring it down. I got to work on that. I'm just like, so
You're not bringing it down, Jen. You're awesome.
I appreciate that. But I
And
just,
I love your onesie.
I was told
and
once by,
your
thank
boots
you.
are beautiful.
See, you know what? I have to have this
You're a
because I'm
golden
so
unicorn.
serious.
Just answer the question.
I know. Shut the fuck up and answer the question. So no, I learned in hindsight to really cherish the moment because I think when I was younger, I was very much in the sense of like, well, I'm gonna finish my Disney Channel show and I'll do my freeform show and I'll do some decoms and then I'll be on my
all
ABC
did
show and then
that.
I'll do.
You're not unique, yeah, I
but
promise.
I mean, youth is wasted on the young, and so
Yeah.
it's one of those things that now looking back, I still really cherish that time while I was in it, but I could have cherished it a lot more.
And
Because
this-
by the end, I was so ready to be done, and I hate that because I feel like I wasted that last year.
I concur with the last part of what Jen said.
Not
And the
rest of it.
podcast is the perfect place for you guys to unpack all of that. So we have one more question, please, and then they get to go back to my
We
house
get to sit
and
there and watch
meet my
you guys
kids.
talk.
Yes! Got to mention poop once.
What's your name?
Hi, my name is Isla.
Hi, Isla.
First of all, it is so cool that you're both here. I'm a huge TV fan, and I want to work in TV. And Wizards of Waverly Place was my first favorite show.
Aww.
And so my question is really you guys came into my life, and I imagine came into a lot of people's lives at a time when they were very young. So a lot of your fans became your fans as kids. And so I'm wondering what that's like for you, because I feel like that's rare for actors in general and for shows in general, that your fan base kind of congregates as children and then comes up with
What
you.
was that? Yeah, 'cause if you don't mind, I'd love to hear your answer first. Because, I mean, you were an adult having a bunch
Throw
of
me
kids
under
come
the
up to
fucking
you.
bus, Jen. Make
Yeah,
me
they're
go
all grown
first.
up now.
I get shit if I don't let you
and
talk.
they still
I
love
love
if
it.
I do let you
I
talk.
love it. I feel
Yeah.
very lucky that we were a part of something that was received so well, and the fact that our fans have grown up with us, and also you watched the show with your daughter, and a lot of people came up to me and said, I really enjoyed watching the show with my kids. I liked it. That we kind of hit a little bit of a Pixar thing where you can watch a Pixar movie with an adult and with a kid, and you're both enjoying it. So I was very happy that the whole family could watch it, which not a lot of family stuff is that entertaining. It usually is only geared towards the kids. But I do love the fact that, I mean, not every day, but most of the time, people come up and say, "Oh, you were my childhood," or "I wish you were my dad," or I loved watching the show, and you brought me happiness, and that feels good.
Yeah,
I've answered it now, Jen. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right. I'll roll you a water.
There you go.
This is very cold. This is like Disney, whispering to the side, and they're 5 feet away.
Hi, Danny.
No, but for me, that you were my childhood. You don't get that when your fans come to you as an adult, and that to me is so special. And I never, as an actor, anticipated. I just wanted to act. I was just a bougie, nerdy actor kid, total theater snob, which is we're turning down the volume on
Did
Disney
you
Channel.
notice how
first
she
started.
said theater snobbed and then looked at you?
Well, okay, I'm going to geek out for a second, and then I'm going to finish this answer, and then we'll fuck
Yeah.
off. But no, the fact that you played...
You've said this before, and I'm like, what does
the
that
fact
mean?
that you played Belle on Broadway, like I just like geek out pretty hard.
Thank
Pretty
you.
hard.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you. Oh my
Pretty
god.
hard.
Oh god.
Like it's okay.
What about me?
No, but so when you have fans that come to you as an adult, you don't get that you were my childhood. And what's so beautiful about this phase of the show, which amazes me that it keeps taking on these like new phases, because it kind of, after the show finished airing and they stopped rerunning it kind of died down a little bit. And then Disney Plus came out, and then the podcast came out. So it's kind of resurged in a way that like it's airing again, which is so unexpected and wonderful. And so now I get people that are like, you were my childhood, and I love your podcast. You make my Mondays, which just makes my day when people say that, because Mondays are terrible.
Mondays. Did you hear that, guys? So Mondays is when you guys can tune in to Wizards of Waverly Pod. We are available on Spotify, Apple. Please rate, review, subscribe on YouTube. We're on TikTok, or they're on
Are
TikTok.
you all subscribed? If
We have a
you're
lot, I
not-
feel like we have a
if
lot of
you're not,
media here too.
subscribe.
So I want to thank you all for coming. Please stay tuned. That was our last question. I think we finished it off really wonderful. They love their fans, so please engage with them online and support them. And you have a Patreon as well, right?
Yes, we do. Where there's bonus content.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dave and I are not the most tech savvy, so we're trying to figure it
No,
out.
but we're
so just
doing. We
be
do live
patient.
Q&As and stuff, and you know, we find old things that we put on there and new things
Like your
too.
Nicolas Cage t-shirt.
Yeah.
Wow. That sounds amazing. Thank you guys. Can we gear it up for them? Thank you guys.